There's a term out there that's not really actually used in psychology terms. You won't find it really in most accolades. You won't find it in most respected books. You won't find this term. It's called daddy issues, but it says that's not really a real term. Like I've studied psychology. It's not a real term really. But I want to talk about it though. I want to talk about what it really is, and what it really is women that grow up without a father in their lives. And that's not even saying what it really is. Because it's not that they didn't grow up without a it's not that they're like born without a father. It's not how it goes. More than likely they did have a father. That father probably stepped out on them or abused them or sexually abused them or touched them or hit them or neglected them or something. More likely, that's probably more than likely. Or he went to prison or something and just neglected them. Neglect is a really powerful tool. But it's more, a tool is something you use when you want to actually inflict damage, or inflict something. Like if I pick up a power drill and I take off a fucking rim, that's inflicted. That's on purpose. If I go to prison as a father, that's different than using a power drill. If I'm a power drill as a father, that means I'm hurting something. I'm doing some damage. I don't know. There's so many different meanings. That's not even close. I'm fucking up the psychology of it, but the fact decision. Oh, she has daddy issues. You think that means just fucking A? Example A. Daddy issues could be like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, G, J. That could go on for the fucking whole alphabet, man. That could go on forever. Daddy issues. Maybe her father went to prison. Maybe your daughter fucking licked her. Or maybe your father fucking touched her feet too weird or something. Like, it's like anything can be construed as weird. Maybe he just like stroked her hair in a weird way. Maybe your father beat the fucking shit out of her mom right in front of her. Or in the other room where she could hear it. Maybe her father abandoned her. Maybe her father was Maybe her father was a workaholic and he had a lot of money, but he didn't fucking fill up the fridge. There's no snacks, there's no food. So she just starved to death. Maybe her father didn't teach her fucking math or how to read or something. Like, there's so many different forms of abuse and neglect, sexual abuse and neglect. There's so many different forms. I mean, if you want to really go into it, maybe just a workaholic. Maybe the guy was a millionaire or half a millionaire. Maybe he made $50,000 a year, which 20 years ago was a lot of money. And he worked 2 or 3 jobs, but he didn't have to though. See, or maybe he didn't tuck her into bed at night. Maybe he didn't read her books at night. Maybe he didn't. Or maybe it's a son. Let's talk about sons. Let's talk about sons. Maybe he didn't play with the Tonka trucks with them. Maybe he didn't teach him how to ride a bike. Maybe he didn't teach him how to race bicycles. Maybe he didn't teach him how to change his bicycle tire. Maybe he didn't teach him about mechanics or how to. You see, it could go. It's not about gender. It's not about gender at all. A father that neglects his seed, it's the same thing either way. Whether his seed is a boy or a girl, it's the same thing. I'm just talking about neglect now. I'm not talking about damage. I'm not talking about damage. Damage is another thing, but neglect is still damage. But if you let's talk about the difference between neglect and damage. Let's talk about that. What is neglect? Neglect is ignorance. It's like ignoring somebody. It's like neglect is like putting somebody in a room in a cell. Let's say it's a cell because it's basically what it is, and then you just forget they're there. Well, did you really forget they're there, or do you just pretend that you forget they're there? That's neglect. Now, abuse It's different because abuse would be like putting somebody in a cell and forgetting they're there, like pretending that you forget they're there, and then like 2 or 3 hours later, you go back there and you fucking beat the shit out of them. See, that's the difference between neglect and abuse. Now it's both abuse and it's both neglect. Considerably is both neglect and abuse. Now I would say if I had to choose between one or the other, I would choose neglect over abuse all day long. But it's both also considered terms of abuse. Both of those uh, activities are coined terms of abuse. That would both be considered abuse by a court of law or a jury. I'd rather be neglected though if I had to choose one or the other than abused, but it's both considered abuse and neglect. Whether you're a boy or a girl. Whether you're a girl, whether you're a kid or a man, whether you're a kid or an adult. That would be if anybody locked you in a room and didn't feed you for like 5 days, and they wouldn't let you use the restroom, and they didn't feed you. Even if you're an adult prisoner or a kid prisoner, that would be both considered neglect and abuse. You know, and I wouldn't want to. I don't wouldn't want to experience any of that. But if I had to choose one, I'd rather choose neglect. But like I said, it's still considered abuse. You know, and the parents know they're doing it. And if I guess maybe my next video I'll go into this about whether it's like your mother doing this to you or your father doing it. I guess, or your step parents doing this to you, or maybe it's like your stepmother or your stepfather doing this to you, or maybe a mix like stepmother, real father, or stepfather, real mother. Maybe I'll go into that soon because I do have some knowledge on this, but I don't. I gotta tread lightly on this. I don't want to go too far into this.